apologize. I have to reboot. The software that connects my camera to the live stream server is not working. So I will be back in 2 minutes. I can't even leave music. So, yeah, 2.5 minutes for a reboot. All right. I'll be back. Yeah, literally 2 minutes. 2 minutes to reboot. Thanks for hanging around. And yes, that is my view off my porch. It's pretty awesome, I gotta admit. And I can do a little bit of a pan too. Let's do a little bit of a pan. We don't want to do too much of one. So yeah, it's pretty gorgeous. There. Came off the base. There you go. That's the view that I have while I'm doing the show. That's what I look at. All right. Let's see here. Everything good? Good, good, good. All right. Flip. Camera. All right. Live streaming, technical difficulties. I can't edit this out if I get it bad. Let's do that. Makes it happy. All right. We're not here for my face anyways. Where did we leave off? Where did we leave off? Get that up there. Where is there's QWeb. QWeb. Gotcha. And bring you up. All right, as we wait for that to refresh, there we go. So this is where we are right now. And during the break, I got a little bit of food and got a little bit refreshed. Boy, I am very white flushed from the outside light. Let me fix that. Another source of light. Give it some balance. There we go. Not so white flush now. All right. And so we started with Atlantis, man's calendar, our creation, R01. And we got to the point of the aliens are present in civilization, the Vedic age, and the Sumerians. So after the Great Flood, there were several civilizations that restarted and that have ancient cultures and ancient learnings. And there are split-offs. You have the Orient, you have India, you have the Americas, you have Central America, you have South America, you have Africa. All of these civilizations had were put there and then civilized and then went from there. So this isn't the history of the world entirely, but this is just what we are fighting and facing and the Western world for a great part. So now we've gone from the aliens, which pyramids and the Sphinx are definitely Enki and Enlil. After the flood, they establish kings, they establish civilization, they establish a management structure for humanity, and it is one that is pretty sophisticated because it's lasted till now, and that's what happened in the Sumerian age. Sorry, got some messages coming in. That's what happened in the Sumerian age. Craig let me know that chaos does indeed rule his household at the present time, and so civilization, humanity was rebooted, civilization was restarted, and out of Sumeria came all of the basic functionings of our of humanity. Calendars, time, minutes of the day, hours of the minutes, seconds of a minute, minutes of an hour, hours of a day, and then calendars and all of our math. Just the basics of civilization was established in Sumeria, and then spread in different manners. What we are focusing is the hidden world that has been kept from us, and that has greatly influenced our world. And so Egypt is no greater civilization. And I want to sneeze. I'm trying not to, so I'm sorry. Pharaohs of Egypt. So to understand this, we have to go back to the ancient writings. But before we do that, I just want to point out the Q is doing its thing, and the president is doing his thing as they told us it would do. We are now having the roll-up of all the child predators that we're able to identify through electronic means. So on August 10th, 3 soldiers were busted, and 9 arrested in a sting in Texas. In Ohio, it's taking too long to resolve these things. 17 arrested. I'm sorry, Michigan. In Michigan, 17 arrested. All right. ABC 1031 in this is Ohio. Stanislaus County arrested in sex trafficking. In Georgia, just this week, 39 missing children. 39 missing children, and somewhere the youngest was 3 years old. And it is a sex trafficking organization. So we're getting them all. Every week there are several now. It's just going faster and faster. The roll-up and rescues. Several a week now are coming out. And it's awesome. It is great. It is dominating Facebook. It is awesome. All right. So, pharaohs and who they are and what they are. So we are talking about the pharaohs of Egypt, and the green is talking about aliens. How great is that? And we have a king's list. We have several king's lists, actually. They vary, but they say the same story, which is that there are three different sets of dynasties. The very first dynasty was the reign of gods. Then came the reign of demigods, and then of humans and spirits of the dead. And then came dynastic Egypt. And its Middle Kingdom through the Hyksos invasion. The Hyksos were, as we see, they were the Canaanites, and those that survived the destruction of the cities fled south and invaded Egypt. They were starving. They were desperate. They invaded Egypt. Then they established themselves within that society, and then they were expelled. Why were they expelled? Because they're probably doing the same thing that they were doing in their society, which is pedophilia, orgies, and just pedophilia, and cannibalism, pedophilia and cannibalism, in one sort or another. Get out of our society. So, and that is a mystery, who the Hyksos ended up being. Some think it's the nation of Jacob Israel. Some think it's the Jews, but many do not. But it would make sense. It would make sense. So you have the pre-dynastic, the dynastic, which is Middle Kingdom, and then New Kingdom, the last remnants. So there's definitely the pre-dynastic Egypt and the establishment of the gods, who were the first pharaohs. Ra is the sun god, the one God, the one true God. Isis, the dream stele, Akhenaten, Atonism, the high priest of Amun, and the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is definitely said to be some sophisticated, high technology weapon of some sort, because it was taken on the battlefield and it would kill the enemy, wipe them out. Whenever it came onto the battlefield for hundreds of years, it assisted the Jews to win. And then suddenly it stopped, and then suddenly it started doing weird things, and then suddenly it disappeared. Just like the menorah appears suddenly in just the expression of Judaism, the Ark of the Covenant disappears, and it's tracked down to be in Ethiopia. Graham Hancock was able to authenticate it through history, through his study of history, and also he found the Templars there, and the Templars several times were with the Ark of the Covenant, never could take it, and I don't think they ever wanted to take it. They understood that it was safe in Ethiopia. At that time, it was just really difficult to get to that country, and they knew that Israel wasn't prepared for it. And the Knights Templar were there in Ethiopia, looking after the Ark for decades. So there's definitely, if you read The Sign and the Seal of Graham Hancock, he'll give you that journey and all the information you need. And we have El Yahweh Olah. This is God. This is the God of the Jews. This is the God of Israel. This is the God that Joseph Israel prayed to. This is the God of the Sumerians. And And so this Jacob Israel goes back that far, and in his practice to where Abraham was founded, and the faith of Abraham was established, and the promise between this God El, and Abraham, long kept promise of the gods. And we understand by different texts and just so many different means that pre 3000 BC there were gods walking the earth, great beings, and they were here for many thousand years, civilizing humanity, getting humanity going again, and battling between each other, but not pre-flood ways, not doing the wild things pre-flood times. But there were families and they had issues when the gods, the Nephilim, when they're on the planet, they're in a human body and they have human desires. We don't know what it's like beyond our realm and how they function, but we know how it is when they're here. And they're pissy, they're angry, they like to drink, they like to party, they like to eat, they like to have sex, and all that's well documented around the world. There are very few gods that are just above all of that, documented. And if you read Exodus, that's the documentation of the Jews leaving Egypt and going into the desert. Some conversations between God and Moses are documented by scribes, and in those conversations you can read and hear Moses's way of talking 3,000 years ago, or I think 3,000 years ago would be a safe bet. 3,500 years ago, but the gods started leaving the planet 3,000 BC. So let me not get the time confused. The gods started leaving the planet 3,000 BC. Their work on booting humanity was done, and they left behind rituals and enough information, writing, that humanity can go its way through its time, going through the age of Pisces and the age of Yeshua. Yahweh El was a god, and could have very well been the boss god. It could have very well been Enki or Enlil, because El. So it could have been Enlil. There's a lot of discussion there for that. And Yahweh helped the Jews establish Israel, and supported them in many what we would call miraculous ways, but we can see through technological ways. And we have the establishment of the biblical kings as well. So all of this is very well documented. And what I was saying about the way Moses spoke 3,000 years ago, it was very stilted and very structured in its language and formality, as we would expect someone 3,000 years ago to speak. But when God is speaking, and it's written, his form of grammar and usage is very modern. He has a very modern vernacular, very dry wit, and quick to anger, and quick to be offended. It's really, if you haven't read Exodus, it is an amazing read. It really, really is. And for everybody that says God is a God of peace, you see a very vengeful, very angry, very quick to anger God. So that gives you the true God of the Jews and what they had to contend with. So this God was ready to let them die in the desert unless they showed some gratitude, and then finally just showed worship so that they would stay in line to survive the journey and the misery that they brought upon themselves for being rude by worshiping a calf instead of worshiping the God that just freed you. So after the 40 years and a generation would die off in the desert, the Jews were finally shown Israel. So El Yahweh Olah is very, very tough. Now we also have Zoroastrianism. And I have been very, very curious about Zoroastrianism, when it was founded, and what's the story behind it. And thankfully, we had someone that understood and was very knowledgeable and was a Zoroastrian practitioner come on the channel and talk to us about Zoroastrian, Zarathustra. And I was very surprised to see the connection between Zoroastrianism and Baal and Lucifer. And also Baalbek, the connection that this all takes. And I didn't talk much about Enoch, and I really didn't see Baalbek here until just now as we were making the connection. So that's kind of breathtaking that Baal and Zoroastrianism does basically worship and pray to fire, but the tenets of Zoroastrianism are to do good things, say good words, and do good deeds. So I don't understand. And then we also have the first Qing dynasty, one Qing. All of that is connected to Baal. And it goes through Baalbek. And as we were talking about Sodom and Gomorrah. Set and Satanism. Set was a very vengeful, evil god, tough god. And Satanism. So here we are in the big evil that consumes our planet, because you can see the connections from Baal to adrenochrome, human sacrifice, and Moloch. And then it just comes down into, from here, this connection, all the way to Pizzagate. So that's the symbolism and the ancientness of the devil that we are fighting. And the devil, when they say sell your soul to the devil, is if you can rape a child, sodomize a child, orally rape a child, torture a child, 5 days, 5 times to 6 times a day, and just have pedophile urges, and then murder that child, and then consume that child's flesh, well, chances are that you've just committed the worst crimes ever. And if you think about it, and I'd like for a legal scholar to correct me, but all of those are the worst crimes that civilization can imagine. Those are the fundamentally just absolute worst crimes civilization can do. So that's, if you can do that, you can be successful in Hollywood, unless you bring a certain expertise that Hollywood needs. If you're a person that is attractive and can sell your soul, if you can do those deeds, become rich and famous, feed the cult with fame and money from your success that we've given you, that payback, that's it. You've sold your soul to the devil for money and fame. You cannot do anything worse if you've done those things, and if you look forward to doing those things. So that's understanding all of this. Pizzagate connects all the way back to human sacrifice, and the culture of Baal, going back to Sodom and Gomorrah, is part of that lineage. Tower of Babel and Nimrod. Tower of Babel is important to us, by the way, and that happened before Pharaoh's Egypt started. And that's when our designers, Enlil and Enki, decided, because we were starting to make our own tower and get the ability to start reaching them. And whether this, we were becoming, and the point was, we were becoming as intelligent as they were, because we were able to communicate together. One of the big warnings that the gods gave the main god that was talking to Adam and Eve, they said, now that they know good and evil, they can become like us. So we started the path of becoming gods. Except for the cult of Baal took over us and stifled our growth and our creativity and our ability, and so they could feed upon us. Hey, Lunshine, I think so. Hey, okay, gotcha. Thank you for your membership, Luna Shine. I know who you are. Hello, thank you. We have a new member. And again, yes, if you want to join the chat and join the conversation and let me know that my sound is bad or something, join the membership. It's $1.99 a month, and you get access to the chat while I'm streaming. That's why I'm always looking over here. If I'm looking over here, I'm looking at the system that has a chat going. If I'm looking over here, I'm looking at my monitor. If I'm looking at you guys, I'm talking and I'm not seeing either one of these guys very well. Hey, thanks for joining me. Yeah. So anyway, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. We are a growing channel, and growth is very important. Yeah, you got to keep an eye on me. Yeah, those batteries. I mean, I just put those batteries in my session earlier this morning. 18 minutes into the session, my sound went. Thank goodness. It got caught quickly, so it was, I think, like about 2.5, 3 minutes where I was just talking to the air. And those that can lip read knew what I was saying. Everybody else was like mad, and went away for a little while. But everybody came back. So here's what I kind of think about what happened with Zoroastrianism. Is that's kind of where they started putting us to sleep. Do good things, don't worry about evil stuff. Evil stuff will be happening over here, and you guys don't pay attention to it. That's the best thing I can think of, because I don't see any representation of Baal, but it would be the way the temple of Baal, the cult of Baal, would want to begin to put us to sleep around the world. So Zoroastrianism was one creator, and you just have to be peaceful to be part of that group, that religion. So that's very interesting. So Lucifer, Satan, And again, this isn't all the history of humanity. This is just the deep state. This is the deep state map. This is how the deep state was created. And that's why I think that the Zoroastrian model is how the deep state was able to create itself. It creates a whole peaceful movement around it, and then it keeps its satanic worship of Baal, the pentagram, the 5 cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, going. So thank you for the thumbs up and the 100%. Thanks. So that's what this is all about. This is the deep state. This is not the whole history of humanity. This is the deep state and the hidden history. So the ball right here is our important place that that the deep state starts. So we go into Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, the siege of Jerusalem, and in 587, the Temple Mount, the launch pad for Gilgamesh. The Temple Mount is fascinating. So if you go down into the Temple Mount, you have some huge megalithic rocks, the same as the triathlon in Lebanon. Triathlon, no. The 3 huge triathlon is what you do in Olympics. Well, the 3 huge rocks that they have. It's going to come to me. I hate when this happens. But if you go in the basement of the Temple Mount, the Jews have dug down the Western Wall, and they've found some huge megalithic, ginormous stones. Yeah, big old brain fart. That are just, those impossible to move stones. And it's long been said that the Temple Mount is actually a launch pad. And this has been saying that because the gods were coming from their spaceships back and forth to Earth. That's talked about in the Bible a whole bunch. Stairways to heaven, the chariots, the fire chariots, the chariots with wings. So all that was happening. So Temple Mount was very important in antiquity. Very, very, very important. Solomon's Temple, Boaz, and Jonchin. So this goes to twin pillars. Here, I'll pull up text. All right. So back in ancient Judaism had its own God and wouldn't worship any others. But there was a time before it became so monolithic that there was a group of Jews that worshipped Baal. So if you go into the jewishvirtuallibrary.org and research Baal, and is a common Semitic word for owner, master, husband, or lord. And it is very, very present in ancient times. In El Amoran letters, Canaanite clients addressed the Egyptian king as my Baal, my Adu. In the Ugaritic mythological text, Baal is the name of the god, which is used more than twice as often as the next most frequent name, Hadu. The latter name, Armana, Adu, is to be related to the Arabic hada, break, crash, with reference to thunder. Variation to hadad, and is to attest to only once in Ugaritic. So Baal and Baal worship has been very present in ancient Egyptian times, in ancient Semitic times, and has a very strong Hebraic and Semitic mythology. Now, there came a time that the worship of Baal was bound to the economy of the land and the adequacy of the rains. But this is when a battle, not between Baal and Yahweh directly, but the believers of Baal and Yahweh began to have contentions. They were all Semites, but there was a strong sect that was Yahweh, and there was a strong sect that was Baal. And there was a constant back and forth. And this goes back very, very, very long ago, biblical. Let's see where. Biblical narrative incorporates tales of Baal worship into the traditions of the wilderness wandering. And this is when they were going through the wilderness, thus tracing Baal worship to the earliest periods of Israel's existence. Shittim, they attached themselves to Baal Peor, ate sacrifices for the dead, and indulged in sexual orgies. And I don't know if those sacrifices for the dead would have been consuming flesh, the flesh of the dead. That's what I think it means. Life in a land dependent on rainfall enhanced the appeal of the Baal cult, and its pervasive influence persisted throughout the centuries as the unrelenting protests of the prophets and sporadic efforts at the reform attest. And Baal had long been the god of weather. Baal was one of the main four gods in Sumerian cultures, and was the god of weather. So that's where this constant back and forth comes out. So there were reform attests happening in the nation of Israel. But horrendous and repulsive aspects of the worship, sexual excesses and perversions, and this is in Isaiah 57, paragraphs, not paragraphs, but lines 3, paragraph 57, lines 3 through 10. Perhaps including copulation with animals, such as Baal himself performed in the Ugaritic myth, depicting prophetic tirades. Virtually all reference to Baal's consort, the violent virgin Anath, with whom Baal copulates by the 1,000 in one of the Ugaritic mythology fragments, has been excluded from the Bible. But the goddess Ashtaroth, Judges 2:13, and Asherah, Judges 6:3, and Kings 16:32-33 are associated with him. So we say gods, they're real. And as it's established in the Bible, the worship of Baal includes orgies, sexual perversions, and sacrifices for the dead, which I'm going to assume that's cannibalism. So there is it is biblical. It has been ongoing, and it has been nonstop. The same rituals that they were doing back then, they're doing now. Those documents were documented, and there are Torahs that are Baal Torahs. So there's been a constant battle between Yahweh and Baal through history. And that's why you can rest pretty assured if you are praying to Yahweh, El, that you are praying to one of the white hat gods, one of the good gods. All right. So in Solomon's temple is because there was for a time there was an altar to Baal and an altar of sacrifice to Yahweh. So for a while there, it is thought that the worshippers of Baal took over the temple, but they were secretly Baal worshippers, but publicly they were Yahweh worshippers, and that's where they started to control, where they could exhibit themselves being Yahweh, people of God, but internally being of Baal and being purely evil and pedophile and worshiper of Baal, Satan, Set. And that has its roots over here into the twin pillars of Freemasonry, where dualism, it's called dualism, where you look this way in society, but you're really this way in reality, and that holds up your ability to control society. That's how you're a Mason. You're able to maintain both pillars. Demonology starts here. Pythagoras starts here. Prometheus. John D. Rockefeller. Plato and the allegory of the cave. Oracle of Delphi. Thoth, Hermes, and all of these are very, very familiar to all of us. Alchemy, astrology, thurology, gunpowder. So all of these things are being practiced throughout the world at this time. And we are probably around 1000 BC. And gunpowder comes out in the 9th century, but Thoth and Hermes begin to teach humanity how to compound materials to create new and exotic materials. And a lot of this information was stored in the Library of Alexandria, which was destroyed by Caesar. And that gave Caesar and the people of power control again. They could keep the secrets. The Library of Alexandria was a place where you had access to all the information that was. Well, that really messes with the powerful and deceitful rich people, so they have to keep making us stupid so they can exert their power over us. And we go up to Mithra and Mithricism, Rome, and we are at 50 BC. So we've gone up. Pythagoras is 594 BC. Plato, these are great time markers, 348 BC. And Library of Alexandria, 48 BC, it was destroyed. So we're coming down to the time of Christ, which I think this is a good place to stop. Very interesting. Oh, okay. Okay. So, again, I am as new to this as most of you are. Zoroastrianism was created by El and Yahweh and was a prophet of peace. It is not connected directly to Baal, but this is how we read the map in these waves of connection. All right, got it. And that's how we have to read it from this side. Got it. Okay, so we are at the time of Christ here, Julius Caesar, Mithraism. We will start that off tomorrow. I'm not sure what time. I don't know if I'm going to mix up doing the Q drops with this or keep two different shows going. I'll have to see. One of our commenters said they ate flesh after they sacrificed. Got it. Sacrifice to the dead. After the sacrifice, ate flesh. Got it. This evil is just amping up. People who do not know are really going to have a hard time believing these evils. Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be so much coming out. The Catholic Church and its work with evil after I finish mapping all this out, you can kind of see some of it already. It's going to be pretty strong. Very strong. So Zoroastrianism is not connected directly with Baalism, but I would say is an effort to separate from Baal, because Satan, evil, Baalism, unfortunately, it has to exist on the planet. It was part of our process to elect good and evil. And if you want to elect evil, you have the ultimate evil out there that's organized and will let you go to full excess. And they're evil. I mean, just because you're evil doesn't mean the guy, oh, yeah, you're great. You got to bring something great to them for them to allow you to come up in the ranks. And that's how the Clintons. Hillary Clinton wanted to be Madam Evil of America. Just like there's a Madam Evil of England, and the Rothschilds, and all these great families. Hillary Clinton was trying to make her great family and be the great American family. Yeah, it's complicated. So we have a good bit of work to do. All right, I got to stop here and do some exercise, take a walk, process some of this, and stop. So we're coming into Christ, the time of Christ, and kind of pick apart what all this means. This is where it gets complicated. All right, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see y'all tomorrow at 4 a.m. Eastern Time, U.S., where I'm going to pick up with the Q drops, and then see where we go with this Q web. If I'm going to integrate the two or just have a whole different show, I'll let you know. I'll think about it while I'm walking. Bye. It's a beautiful day out there.